Hello and welcome to the Astrology Podcast with me, Francesca Oddi. I am now recording on YouTube as well as this being just a normal pod that you can listen to in your ears. I do find I behave a little bit better now that I'm filming it as well, because I feel like I'm presenting. So I'm less likely to make a million mistakes and go, ooh, I'm in presenter mode as opposed to like, let's just make a mess and Heidi can edit it and make it better. So we'll see. Work in progress, but my mic's broken, which is a tragedy. I've got it here because it's my friend and I didn't realize it was broken. But the box, whatever the box is, that the microphone has to go through before you put it into the computer, seems to be dead, which is a shame. But it's also very Mercury retrograde, and Mercury stationed direct at the weekend, but he's still in shadow, and he will be in shadow until the 31st of May. And I feel that. Now, I think that could be because Mercury is, if I look at today, which is the 17th, Mercury's at 6 degrees of Taurus and Jupiter's now at 0 Taurus. And the nodes are at 2 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio. So we've got Mercury conjunct the North Node pretty much. We've also got the Moon and Jupiter. So there's a lot of emphasis in the sky on that area in the sky, if you know what I mean. So it's not just like Mercury's retrograde doing his own thing. He's always close to the sun and generally close to Venus and Mars as well. But there seems to be something else. And I think it's partly because we had Jupiter at 29 Aries all weekend, which was picking up the eclipse, because we had on the 19th of April, we had an eclipse there at 29 Aries. That's fired things up. But then also Jupiter and Pluto, like Mercury square, stationing ultimately square to Pluto. So when I say square to Pluto, I'm talking about 90 degrees apart. Pluto's at 0 Aquarius right now, Mercury stationed at 5 Taurus. So that's 95 degrees apart, I think. I presume so. Yeah, it's 95 degrees apart. So it's still a square, really. And I think there's some kind of tension or something that's been buried. I put on Instagram last night that they're digging up the streets everywhere. You know, Pluto is god of the underworld. Jupiter expands. The whole, I went past 3 different people drilling, and maybe they're just working in my area. Maybe that's just me seeing things, but there is this like underground effort. There's a symbolism there, at least for me to be seeing that, to think, okay, why is everybody digging stuff up from the past? What do we need to dig up from the past? And then I'm seeing just little things, things needing to, my microphone breaking and communications and emails, and having to rebalance the way things are being expressed. Maybe you're finding that too. So I would just bear that in mind. And if you look ahead and you think, okay, Mercury's going to move out of shadow on the 31st of May. The shadow is, Mercury enters a sign and then he dances through that sign and then he goes retrograde at a certain point and then he goes back to the previous point and then he goes direct again. Whilst he's retracing those steps and going back over the ground that he's already done, like a month or 6 weeks before, that there is this kind of retracing, and I feel that is bringing up all the things that we need to address. So for me, one of the things I need to address is the technology and the way I use it, and maybe the way I look after it. That could also be part of it. And then Pluto's influence is strong here. When I wrote Cycles, which is my moon journal, and I wrote about this new moon in Taurus, I pulled the Death card. Which is interesting. I do a spread for the whole year when I write Cycles, so I do it all at once. I don't do it each lunation. I just tune in and I pull the cards for the new moons and the full moons, and then when it comes to writing about it, I take the card as inspiration to give me guidance as to what I need to be writing about, like the subtle meanings, the subtle things that I might otherwise miss. So it just gives me extra information when I'm writing. And death would very much be associated with Saturn or Pluto. And Pluto is strong right now because Jupiter is square Pluto. And then also Mars will be opposing Pluto on Saturday. I think it's Saturday. Let me just double check that. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. Either way, very, very, very soon. Very, very soon. He's already opposing Pluto, even when he's at 20, he's going to be at 29 Cancer on Friday and Saturday until probably 5 p.m. So he does move to Leo on Saturday, about in the evening in the UK. And Pluto is the god of transformation. He rules Scorpio. And Mars Pluto is a formidable aspect. So when Mars opposes or meets or squares Pluto, the big explosion that was in Beirut a few years ago, that was a Mars Pluto conjunction or square. Mars is force. Mars rules Aries, you know, he's like fire, get up and go. And then Pluto is under and volcanic, suppressed anger, suppressed issues, suppressed power. And you get Mars who wants to fight, and Pluto is holding on to his power, and it's and then we've got Jupiter forming a T-square. So that means Jupiter is a way out. So when you've got tension in the sky, two things opposing one another, any planet that's 90 degrees to both of those things that are opposing each other is where the tension is released. And so we release the tension by being generous. And Jupiter in Taurus, we get into nature, we find ourselves security, we soothe ourselves, we feed ourselves well. We have to understand that there is a power issue, and also remember that the North Node is in Taurus right now. So we're getting, Scorpio is involved, the South Node in Scorpio, but we want to step towards that North Node in Taurus. And with Jupiter and the North Node together, that is inviting us to just not get involved in the drama. And I think I wrote that here. I think. Pluto trine to the new moon encourages healthy realism and the bravery to let go. Dogs love to play fetch, but they hate to drop the ball in case they don't get it back. That, you know, that analogy, that's my analogy. Like, you playing fetch with a dog, and the dog gets the ball, and then they're like, yeah, wicked, got it, and they want to play more, but they don't drop. So you like drop, and they're like, no, make me. And then you're like, well, I don't actually want to fight you for this slobbery ball. I know, forgive me, but I'm not that desperate for the ball. And the dog's like, you want it though? I'm like, I don't care. And so that's just, are you like with a dog with a ball? Are you playing a game with yourself of frustration? Like, someone else wants to play with you. The universe wants to play with you. The universe wants to offer you things, but you're just like, I'm just going to hold on to this thing because you might steal it. But it's like, what's not meant for you isn't for you. It's the dog's ball. You don't really want it. Do you know what I mean? The dog thinks you want it, but you don't. And so are you going to let go of the ball and trust and have relationships? Or are you going to pretend that you want to play but stay in control by holding on? Old habits die hard. This is an opportunity to change things up. So we're on the cusp of change, this new moon in Taurus, with Uranus in Taurus as well. It's lovely. Uranus is at 19 and the new moon is at 28 degrees and 25 minutes of Taurus. So it's quite late on in the sign, but that is a wide conjunction. It's 9 degrees, isn't it? It's in orb, and we could be waking things up, starting and trailblazing, beginning something new. We are stepping into that energy of powerful beginnings, because Jupiter is square to Pluto and the new moon is square to Uranus, and Mars is at the very end of Cancer opposing Pluto. And it's like that's why it's death, because it's complete. That the one of the things we need to understand about the death card is that it is completeness. It is something that is, I keep tidying my room, but I need to actually throw everything out completely and send it to the charity shop so that it is gone, so that it's dead, it's out, gone. Whatever decision you need to make, whether that's throwing out the fags or completely committing to something, there is an absolute no turning back. You can't turn back. Once you're dead, you're dead. There's no turning back. And that's how we are at this new moon, Jupiter square to Pluto. There is a big, overwhelming, upsurging finality, but that's also the birth. Every birth is a death. Once you've had a child, you've given birth, which will be symbolized by death, because the old life is dead and gone. You're not going to go back to being child-free and footloose. It's gone, and it's there's no compromise. That's what we're dealing with. And not compromising is a theme of fixed energy forming squares. So Jupiter square to Pluto with Mars opposing. fixed. We have fixed energy. I've spoken about this in the podcast before. If you want to learn more, sign up on my wait list to do Learn to Read Your Birth Chart. I'll be launching it in June. We have cardinal energy, which begins, gets things going, fixed energy, which maintains, and mutual energy, which breaks things down. And they're fixed, form a head to head. And when those planets square one another, you just get locking horns, and that's it. It's like, okay, we've locked horns now. Is anyone going to move? No. Okay. How are we going to stay here? Well, that's, up to you. Well, it's up to you. And that's what it's like with the dog with the ball as well. It's like, are you going to let go, or are you just going to do this forever? Because, we got to move at some point. You got to get bored of this. But fixed energy, it isn't going to get bored. It's resolute. Now, that is why this is great for if you are starting, if you want to give birth to something under fixed energy, you're going to maintain it. And that's why Jupiter in Taurus is such a fantastic door opening for us. Jupiter moved to Taurus yesterday evening, May the 16th in the UK, and he'll be there until May 2024, I believe. So a year now, solid year of Jupiter, the planet of luck and abundance. And I was writing a lot of this in my stories, expanding that Taurus energy. So whatever is Taurus in your chart, he's bringing an abundance of it. And because Taurus is stoic, fixed, plodding, doesn't like change, wants to maintain. What I was saying about that Jupiter in Taurus is it's like, if you're running a business or going on a diet or implementing anything in your life, all the experts will say is just be consistent. If you can be consistent, you'll get results. Even if you don't see results at the beginning, just be consistent. Keep showing up, dogged. And that's what Jupiter in Taurus will bring rewards to anyone who's been doing that. And it helps us all tap into that part of ourselves. And this new moon helps us to tap into that. If you want to launch a business or change your lifestyle in a certain way, and you just commit to it, and it's like every day that you choose to replace that chocolate bar with a Satsuma, every day that you post on Instagram, you're learning how to do it. You post and you post and you post, and you might not see growth for ages. You post and you post, and it's the Taurus that just keeps going, even when you're not seeing results. You just keep going and you keep going and you keep going and you keep showing, and eventually you get results, and then you're an overnight success. But you're not. You've been there like bang, 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 bang. But that's what Taurus energy supports all of us with, and we've all got it somewhere in our chart. And Jupiter is now shining a light and emphasizing that part of your chart and opening the door to be able to go and create and succeed and get there. Hare and the tortoise, isn't it? Slow, but you get there. And we've got lovely as well, Venus is in Cancer and the moon is in Taurus, so that's a mutual reception, because Venus would love to be in Taurus because she rules Taurus, and the moon would love to be in Cancer because the moon rules Cancer. So we have currently it's a new moon in Taurus with a mutual reception between Venus and the moon. That's nice, that's soft, that's harmonious, that's family food and togetherness and lovely weather, perhaps. I don't know, I haven't checked the weather for Friday. It's probably going to rain. Now I've said that, but maybe the rain is abundant, And also, how do you measure abundance? I was thinking this yesterday when I was swimming, and it was hot yesterday. Went for a swim, it's dead sunny, and therefore the pool was packed and there were loads of people in there. The week before I went, when it was pelting it down with rain, and a lot of people probably would think that swimming in the rain isn't abundant, but I was alone and I had everything, all the space to myself, and it was raining and it was so nice. And the sun was a bit like, okay, everybody's here now. And that's what I was thinking, is you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't decide what abundance is for somebody, because you might not think that's ideal, but actually it's not always what things appear to be. So we can't judge other people's ideas of freedom, prosperity, and wealth. Just because it doesn't look like yours, it might be perfect for them or perfect for you. And that's when you look at your Jupiter. I invited everybody to do this in my newsletter yesterday. If you're not subscribed to my newsletter, go and do that. It's very easy. Just go on my website, francescaodi.com, and subscribe. I wrote about how Saturn returns every year. No, Saturn returns every 29 years. And Jupiter returns every 11.8 years, and everybody talks about Saturn more these days. Kagi's got her podcast, Saturn Returns. More and more people are like, oh my God, what's the Saturn return? And, it's bigger, it's rarer, happens at 30 or 29 and 58 and 87, 88. But we have Jupiter returns every 12 years, 11.8 years. And they are generally really abundant, lucky times in our life because Jupiter opens doors. Jupiter is generous. Jupiter is gracious. Jupiter is abundant. And if you want to understand your gift, if you want to understand what you're bringing to the world, look at the gifts that were delivered to you at your Jupiter returns. Okay. And I might try and create something on that, because I reckon people are going to be really into wanting to know how to calculate their Jupiter return. But there is already on my Instagram grid a post about Jupiter, and you can find out which sign your Jupiter is in and the type of joys and benefits that your Jupiter brings you. Like just knowing my Jupiter is in Capricorn, and so like the benefits come through professional, through work, through working. That's the vibe. And yeah, it's in my 9th house of teaching. So here I am, I like explaining shit to people. That's where I've been given something. And Jupiter is where we receive what we put out. So I love to put out content, and then I receive because I create content. Do you understand? And so for you, it's the same. Wherever your Jupiter is, you're generous and you put stuff out. And whether it's in Cancer and you're very loyal to your family and you love being a parent, or you love being a child, or you love being a sibling, or if it's Jupiter's in Sag and you love traveling and you organize things for people, or you maybe like partying, Jupiter in Leo, like whatever. I'm being really top layer here, but it's worth reading about. Okay, so that is Jupiter. So Jupiter's in Taurus, it's there for a year, and it's expanding that Taurian energy. If you want to, the workshop is available that we did yesterday, because we did some magic as well, because there is that, the gifts of the material. And so we've got the new moon on Friday. I would be setting intentions. I wouldn't miss this one. Like, I doubt any of you miss any new moons, but maybe you do. And if you do, then don't miss this one. This is really, really powerful for setting your intention with your pink pen or any other color pen, and write down. In the manifestation language is in don't caveat. So I want to easily and happily create. Don't limit yourself. Don't speak in negative language. We want to avoid what we don't want. We want to focus on what we want. So what are you looking towards? What can you what's going to bring you joy when you've got it? And it can be to do with when you're setting intentions. Definitely make them Taurian, slightly influenced by business, security, bodily health, food, diet, how you value yourself, your self-esteem. If you want to really work towards having healthier, any of those things I've just mentioned, then you can manifest that. And if you know how to work with houses, then you look to that house in your horoscope and you work with that house, because that's really the energy that's being lit up. That part of you is being given an opportunity to grow and expand. So you write 10 wishes. My method, which is just mine, what felt right to me. Some people bury them, some people burn their wishes, some people write them in their journal. I like to put them on a separate piece of paper and then put a candle on top and then I select some of my crystals, and I just do that intuitively. I kind of know, like rose quartz is a classic Taurus crystal, because rose quartz is about love and Taurus is ruled by Venus. It's about love. There are connections between the star signs and thus the new moons and the crystals. So, and I pick a few and I leave them until the full moon, and the energy builds and builds and builds. And it's really putting that intention. That is magic. It's not just goal setting, it's not just, sorry, this chair is so creaky. It's not just the Capricorn old school business, that's your goals, or you're just drifting. It is communication with the living being that is the earth. The earth is alive. I remember being like, I think 2014, 2015, sitting in my living room in Clapham and just being like, oh my God, the earth is alive. Like, the earth isn't just rock. It isn't just a thing. Plants grow out of the earth because the earth has a pulse. The earth is a being. The earth is alive. It's not just like inert matter. It's obviously hugely potent because every tree and every plant and every animal and everything that we live off lives on the earth that is alive. This might not be news to you. You might be like, yeah. But we're never taught, you're not taught the earth is alive, or maybe people, I don't know, maybe they are. But that really struck me when I realized that. And so Jupiter in Taurus is bringing this aliveness to earth and nature, and we are more in communion with that. And we need to communicate. And I had this synchronicity yesterday. I went for food and I sat down outside. I was like, for fuck's sake, starving, impatient. And he just, I'd gone into the loo and said, look, I'm outside. I'm just going to the loo first. And he's like, all right. So I went and sat outside and I'm waiting. I've got my computer, I'm working, I'm writing last night's event. I'm adding bits to it. Nothing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to pack up my computer and go in and like get him. So I just turn around, stare, and then wave. And then he came out. And then he's like, okay, sir, I've got you. I was like, that's all you have to do. I'm here, and I have something that I want. And unless we're communicating, at least to ourselves, it has to be communicated. We're just going to sit. You're just sitting, and you're not being responded to because you're not making yourself seen and heard. And why that is could be part of the self-esteem, maybe could be part of the Taurus story, maybe because you're just a very chill person, but maybe it's because you think you shouldn't impose, you should be quiet, because there's been a lot of conditioning around just be patient. But actually sometimes it's not being patient, sometimes it's just being sensible and assertive. And also these might be very British issues that other cultures don't deal with, but the Brits, we have been told to be silent. That's the undercurrent. That's kind of what we listen to. And with Uranus and the new moon conjunct Uranus, and then Jupiter will eventually get there, they meet exactly April, I think 24th, or April 2024 at least, next year. We are smashing some of those taboos. We are thinking independently. We're thinking, particularly with Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto, and I was saying this, Uranus rules Aquarius, and Aquarius is about the individuals. We are more independent, and we're doing things differently. And I imagine that whilst we've got this astrology over the next 12 months, a lot's going to change. And I would also be looking at crypto. I've not looked at the price of crypto today, which is silly, which is really silly, because it responds intensely to these fixed aspects that I was speaking about earlier, like Mars in Leo opposite Pluto square to Jupiter. That's very like powerful, potent crypto ups or downs, particularly the new moon conjunct Uranus ruling technology. So okay, tangent after tangent. Do you know what? I've been able to hold on to the tangents today, but I reckon sometimes I can't. Sometimes they all just leave. It's really frustrating when they all go. Really, really frustrating. That'll probably be next week. So we've got the new moon, and I'm saying to you, go. Was I saying anything else that I need to cover on that? I don't think so. I think we've covered it. If not, I'll write it in the little notes underneath. New moon, manifest. Put your words out there however you want to, whether you're going to write a letter or do what I do. I just make 10 wishes. There is some potency to it. Now, other aspects this week, we have Mars entering Leo, as discussed, on Saturday afternoon in the UK, morning in the US, and Mars moving from Cancer to Leo is probably the helicopters are here back. The helicopters are always here, man. They're Aquarian, they're Uranian symbols, according to me. So Mars in Leo is flamboyant, it's party, it's getting out there. But remember that Mars gets to Pluto and he crashes straight into Pluto and Jupiter. And that aspect, the Mars square to Jupiter, is Monday and Tuesday. And pretty aggro, it could be very over the top. I'll have to watch my temper, but also super energized. That's the kind of day where I'm just going to want to get things done. And if anything gets in the way, I'll be like, but maybe burn off any excess energy. I would say if you're that type, if you are a high energy, fiery person, burn over the weekend. Now, a lot of people have been reporting being very tired and being slow and feeling, just a bit lethargic. And somebody said to me that in Germany, they have a thing called spring tiredness. It's a thing, which I thought was really interesting. Astrologically, I'm not sure anymore. I would have thought it would be the Mercury retrograde, maybe Mercury still playing funny buggers. But maybe there's something else I don't, there's something else with the solar flares and the solar this and the solar that, the broader atmosphere that could be playing. I don't know. Or maybe, who knows? But astrologically, if I look at the chart, it's 4444, everybody, as I speak. As I look at this, well, Taurus season can be slow. We are at the end of that now. And then, so we've got this like tense, extremely taut, like you've got an elastic band and you take it to maximum tension and you fire something. It's going to go a long way, the tenser the elastic band. And that's how this kind of new moon is. It's very tense. So you set those very practical intentions and then you watch it fly. But there might be some jolt. Okay, moving on from the new moon. I think, as I've said, the new moon is powerful. Death overtones, where we have to commit fully to the thrust of our desires, is what I wrote in Cycles. To create something new, we have to make space and let go of any existing dynamics. Something fresh and fertile wants to be seeded. How will you release your current methods, thoughts, wants, and impulses and allow softness to settle? I feel that this has been a very intense few months with all planets direct and Jupiter in Aries, and everything's been fast and time is going fast and people are tired, and we have to make a concerted effort to create more time and to breathe into, and maybe the internet is stealing our time, and maybe that could be Jupiter square Pluto in Aquarius, the power of technology and where technology is going. I don't know what that is, but how are we going to actively calm down and think, I've got plenty of time, and take some of that tension out of the body? And maybe you don't struggle with that. Maybe this is just me speaking to myself, but I feel that everything's been fast, and I would wholeheartedly embrace a slower Taurian pace that is more practical and has less fat and is more streamlined, because Mercury retrograde in Taurus wasn't the slow situation I hoped it would be. I often find Mercury retrograde to be slow, and I had some really nice reunions, but overall it was intense, very, very fast. And I think that's because Jupiter is at the end of Aries. So there we go. Sun moves into Gemini on Sunday, very, very sociable, we have Sun and Moon in Gemini on Sunday. So that's and Mars then in Leo. So that's, Sunday is lovely, warm, sociable, chatty, extroverted day. Saturday, 29 degrees of Taurus. The sun is at 29. You know how I feel about 29. There's bursting. And in the morning as well, Mars is also at 29. Sun sextile Mars at 29 Saturday, most of the day until the afternoon. So Saturday morning, that's an urgency to make something happen. What is it? What maybe you set your intentions off and it's like this, wow, the inspiration comes through and you feel this burning desire to make things happen, or an overwhelming, and you feel overwhelmed. I don't know what it is, but I would bear in mind that with two planets at 29, there is some strong and intense desire and strong emotions, a lot of adrenaline, again, because also we've got the fixed T-square. It's a very, very high, like, be a great day for running a marathon, or a great day for committing to something and like getting on with it. I'm supposed to at my school reunion. It's not a great day for going to school reunion, I would say. It doesn't, like, it'd be a great day for getting a load of work done. I might have to get up early and work on Saturday morning and just feel really, really creative and blast out a few things, because that's the energy of it. And then we have the lovely Sunday with all the planets in Gemini, and then we have Monday, where the Moon and Venus are now both in Cancer. Mars is leaving the Pluto And yeah, so Mars is moving away from this T-square, so things are easing up a little bit. Moon and Venus together is always very nice, I think. They really get together quite late. Well, actually, it's Tuesday is the exact conjunction. Tuesday about 2 p.m. UK. Moon and Venus, lovely, 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 and beautiful also if you can see it. That'll be the little waxing crescent moon, because we have a new moon which is no moon, and then a couple of days after the new moon, so by Sunday evening you can see a little sliver, and by Wednesday evening you'll see the little crescent moon plus the brightest star Venus next to it. Very beautiful, and that's a harmonious feeling. And again, it's in Cancer, so it's family, food, maybe going out for dinner, being quite sociable. Mars is in Leo, makes you want to like get dressed up and put yourself out there. And there we go. I think that's enough with this dodgy mic. I think I've done half an hour, and I was going to try and keep this shorter. I think I've covered what I want to talk about, and that's it. That is it. So potent new moon, make sure you work with it. The Jupiter transition, look at what Jupiter has been given you. Look at the gifts Jupiter gives you, and then think about what happened in 2011, the last time Jupiter was in Taurus, because that also will inform you to be like, okay, interesting. Yeah, you might not even get a pattern, but just tuning into the transits is a great way to learn about astrology. And if you want to know more, you can sign up and do the courses with me next time I run them, which will be soon. Maybe on Saturday morning, I'll be like, speed of light. That's it. But maybe I want to use this. I'm very much here to like gear up and get moving with this momentum, because the creative element of Taurus, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is very creative, is strong. Okay, thanks. So this has been me, Francesca Oddi, for the Astrology Oddcast, talking about the week of Wednesday the 17th of May to next Tuesday the 23rd, and hopefully my mic will be fixed next week, and I'll see you then.